people of the World Wide Web. So it is Cypher Sigma screen time here. Yes, it is a Saturday, so it's movie review time, as you can already tell. Obviously, welcome anybody new to the channel. If they've come across these sort of films aren't necessarily go-to that I normally go to at the cinema, but I try and see anything and everything I can. So this movie review is for A Real Pain. This is the Jesse Eisenberg written, directing and starring movie. Obviously Kieran Culkin, obviously Macaulay Culkin's brother. He obviously won the Oscar or Golden Globe, I should say, for Best Supporting Actor for this role. Anybody who hasn't seen the trailers behind, so essentially Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin play cousins. Their grandmother dies, and in her will she gives them some money to basically go back to Poland to basically visit where she was brought up in, as kind of a heritage type of thing. And that's the essential story. There's kind of a tour tied into it, and that and yeah, it's a very interesting story. I'll put it that way. So we'll put the spoiler warning up and we'll get into it. So yes, obviously, as I said, this was written, directed and stars Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg plays David, and then obviously we have Kieran Culkin plays Benji, basically, and these two are cousins. And as the story starts, you have Benji. He is already at the airport in America, New York it seems to be. He's waiting for Jesse Eisenberg's character. Jesse Eisenberg's character is on the phone quite a lot, updating his brother as he goes along, like he's leaving the house, he's in traffic and blah, 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 blah. They meet up, and you can see that obviously they haven't been together in quite a long time. And they are very two different characters. Jesse Eisenberg obviously has grown up. He has a wife and a child. The child is played by his real life child. It's got his game together, and it seems that Benji is kind of do what I want to do, doesn't really have much going for him. Anyway, these two meet up, they get on a plane, they fly from New York all the way over to Warsaw in Poland, which is funny because I've not done that trip, but I've flown from the UK to Warsaw for a friend's wedding, which was a disastrous trip that ended up in 18 hours and a few thousand miles from a different train or something. But that's a different story for a different time. But anyway, these two lads, they arrive, they get to the hotel where Benji's character has ordered weed there, which obviously shakes Jesse Eisenberg's character a little bit. And that's when they meet up with James, who's a tour guide, and then they have four others. So you have Mark and Diane, Ilongi, if I put it, who came from Nigeria, I believe, and then Marcy, who is recently divorced. And it's basically the story then centers around these six people on a tour, and a tour guide going around bits of Poland over, I think it's about a span of a week, so 5 or 6 days. They go to visit different sites, obviously from the Holocaust and stuff like this, of Jews, because Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin's characters are both Jews. In real life, it's only Jesse who's Jew. But anyway, so they travel around, they see a lot of the sites, obviously the Holocaust camps, which it's not great. And essentially it's these two characters interacting. They haven't seen each other. Jesse Eisenberg's character is very much a down-to-earth, just wants to go along, whereas Kieran Culkin's character, Benji, wants to kind of be the life of the party, so to speak, which is why he's kind of brought the weed over there. Mouths off, says a few things and gives critique there maybe when you should or shouldn't. And this kind of happens along the trip. Stuff does happen he tries to get everybody involved, and it all seems fun. 1 minute, one time he's being a little bit obnoxious the other time. This kind of culminates to a dinner where they go a few days before the boys are going to leave the tour and go to their grandmother's house. And it kind of comes out when Benji kind of kicks off at the dinner and leaves. Jesse Eisenberg's character reveals that obviously 6 months ago, his cousin Benji had a drug overdose, and that's how he was found. And that, he does love him, but he doesn't believe why he could do this and why he'd be so stupid and stuff like this. And that he hasn't got his kind of life together. This is the realization everybody comes to, and he's like, I overshared, sorry, but maybe they're a little bit more of humility from the rest of the group towards Benji for the rest of this. Obviously, then you've got another day or two where they see the Holocaust camp, which is not another great site to visit anyway, and then they go and visit where their nan or their grandmother, sorry, grew up. And then the boys get on a plane, go back. Jesse Eisenberg's character suggests that obviously Benji come over for dinner. He hasn't met him, and they do have a kind of confrontation of just, like how Benji was so stupid to do what he did, and and how this stuff. And that happens kind of the last night they're there in Poland, but it kind of, they just get out everything kind of they're thinking about, and then it just kind of goes back to normality. They get back to the airport. Jesse Eisenberg gets in the car and goes back to his family. Benji decides to sit in the airport for a little while and kind of view the people surrounding stuff, because he starts it off with, people in airports are crazy. So what did I think of this movie? I thought this movie was very weird. So obviously it is an hour and a half long. I will rate it 5.3 out of 10. So Kieran Culkin, obviously, if he wanted to play kind of somebody who didn't give a shit, then he did really well for the 90 minutes. Or, it wasn't the biggest role, probably like 20 minutes of that, him do it, 20, 30 minutes of him being what he want to do. It did come across like that. And if that's what they've given the award for, then hats off to it. Because he did play that role. You come out of it not really liking the character. My kind of query to the whole thing, and I don't get, there was a point in the story that their grandmother died and they want to revisit it, and I get that. That was true to the fact you got to see it. You got to see some sights. I think it's one of the first films that have kind of been filmed quite a lot of locations. So there is good that. But the story of these two characters that kind of, apart from them having this kind of one moment voice and him sharing it to other people, I don't think their characters change from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. It's just they shared this shared journey like family do. As you grow up and you split up and you have your own families, and it just is these two cousins who one's got his life together and one doesn't know what he wants, always seems to have a lot of issues. They just go on a trip. And that seems to be the story of this. Obviously, unfortunately, the trip is about the Jews and the Holocaust and World War II, and is not very great. Obviously, it doesn't come across as really, apart from when you see the death camp stuff, they try to kind of remember the good things that the Jewish community did and stuff like this, and how they were honoured and remembered and stuff like this. But yeah, it's a bit of it's not one I'm going to pick up. It's not one I would probably ever re-watch again. As I say, I'm not quite sure how Jesse Eisenberg came up with this, I want to revisit my heritage, go with my cousin who's committed suicide, but we're two different people, and it's just like taking somebody normals, I'd probably say like me, just go taking something out, something, a worthwhile trip out of your life, or an interesting trip of your life, that nothing really major happen except for having to go at somebody you don't really get on with in your family, and making it into a movie. And that's why I've rated it so low. I mean, as I say, it's worth a watch. It's interesting, obviously, if you want to see some of the stuff behind it and that. But I really don't get how this film was made, because I don't, apart from being a mundane story about a horrific event, nothing, as I say, from the beginning to the end, nothing really changes between the characters. It just, you maybe learn a bit more about the two main characters. Apart from them, that's it. But anyway, that has been my review of A Real Pain. Have you seen this movie? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and I shall see you in the next one.